Hey there, I'm John Jessup. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more news and information from a Christian perspective.
President Trump, great to see you again, sir.
Thank you very much, David.
Where do I even begin? Let's start with Joe Biden. If Joe Biden gets elected president of the United States, what does that mean for America exactly?
Well, I can tell you what it means for your religion. It means choice. It means that you're going to put a radical lefty on the court, and that's going to be the end of pro-life. It won't even have a chance. So that's what it means. Nobody's been more pro, as you know, you've heard it many times. I think you might have said it yourself, but nobody has been more pro-life as president than I have. I even went to the recent, they had a fantastic thing 3 blocks away in the park, and I went to it, and I'm the first president that ever went to it. A celebration of the victories that
the
we've
March for
all
Life,
had.
yeah.
Between Mexico City, you know what Mexico City is very well, but a lot of your viewers might not, but nobody since Ronald Reagan, and even he was light. His was Mexico City light. Mine is Mexico City strong. You know, if Biden gets in, he's not going to do, because Joe is shot. Somebody, whoever's going to be running the party, is going to put radical left judges on the Supreme Court and all over the court system. And everything we do, I think I'll have close to 300 judges by the time I finish my first term. Hopefully a lot more than that, but it's a record number. And we have pro-life, these are pro-life judges. So, and you look at the Supreme Court, they're pro-life. So we'll see what happens. We will, I think we're gonna win. I think we're gonna win maybe big, because we've done a job like nobody else. You know, we were sailing, and then we got hit with the Chinese virus. But we were sailing. We were so far up, and we were doing very well. And then all of a sudden, it was an artificial situation that happened to us, and we had to turn it off. We had to turn off the economy. We did the right thing. We saved millions of lives, and now we're turning it back on, and we're doing record business. We're doing record jobs. As you know, were announced last week. We have record retail sales was announced last week. And I think it's going to be a V-shape. A lot of people disagreed with me. Now they're all agreeing with me. But we're doing well. But in terms of religion, in terms of evangelical, in terms of Christians with or without evangelical, in terms of Jewish, in terms of anything, you're going to have radical left judges appointed. And if you're in favor of pro-life, you can forget it. What
do you think of what happened with Neil Gorsuch in the 6-3 decision with the LGBT civil rights? That was a shock to a lot of folks.
I was surprised. I was surprised. Some people felt that it was a decision that they weren't as surprised as I was. Yeah, I was surprised.
And John Roberts, what do you make? I mean, is he the new Anthony Kennedy or potentially worse?
Well, so far we're not doing too well. It says, look, we've had a lot of losses. With a court that was supposed to be in our favor. This is just to show what it means. We need, you know, you'll probably have a couple of more judges in the next 4 years. It could even be more than that. It could be 3 or 4. If you have a radical left group of judges, religion, I think, will be almost wiped out in America. If you look at it, pro-life will be absolutely wiped out. So if you have that happening, pro-life is going to be out. It's going to be gone.
What do you make of the state of the race right now? We've seen polls, even some friendly polls, showing you behind. Do you buy any of that?
I don't, because I see so much enthusiasm right now. I see so much enthusiasm, and a lot of it, in terms of what you're talking about, has to do with the whole pro-life movement. A lot of it has to do with that. But I think we're doing much better than we did in 16, and I think there's actually more enthusiasm than there is in 16.
Why do you think that?
I just think it. I think that I feel it. I mean, I see it. Now, we got hit with this horrible pandemic, but we've done a great job. We came up with testing. Frankly, we test so much that it's almost unfair. You know, when they say cases, we're 25 million tests, and other countries are barely even testing. So one shows that we have more cases, but a lot of them are a lot of them are things that we find. We find things to feed to the press, because I'm a big fan of testing, but we are at a level that nobody's ever even imagined before, 25 million. We're 20 million higher approximately than the next highest nation. So if you're at 20 million higher, you're going to find more cases, and then they're going to report, oh, there's more cases. But in the end, we're doing the right thing.
At the Tulsa rally, when the media is hitting you on that, where you said, I told my staff, stop the testing, they're saying, was that tongue-in-cheek or?
No, it's semi-tongue-in-cheek. I say it all the time. I know some people thought it was tongue-in-cheek. It's unfair. We're doing so much testing, so much more than any other country, and to be honest with you, when you do more testing, you find more cases. And then they report our cases are through the roof. But other countries, many countries don't even test with real quality outside of people that are very sick. So we go out and we test 25 million people, which is a lot. You never thought that was even possible. Most people didn't. And we could go up a lot higher than that, and I guess we are. But I tell my people it's a double-edged sword because we do so much testing. And again, we have kids with sniffles, and all of a sudden we report a case, and they're in no danger whatsoever. You know, if you look at the numbers, below 18, very few people are affected. The governor of New Jersey, who's a very good guy, but very liberal, that's okay. Right. He was telling me thousands of deaths, and they only had one under 18. Think of it. One young person who died under the age of 18 with thousands of deaths. So that tells you their immune system or something is doing well. And the one person did have a medical problem.
But just to clear up, there wasn't a direct order, if you will, to staff to stop the testing.
No,
okay.
but I think we put ourselves at a disadvantage. I told my people.
Gotcha.
I said, we've gotten so good at testing. Number one, we have the best tests. Number two, we have the most tests. We test much more than any other nation. So you hear about all these cases. So instead of doing 25 million tests, let's say we did 10 million tests, we'd look like we're doing much better because we'd have far fewer cases. You understand that? I wouldn't do that, but I will say this. We do so much more than other countries. It makes us, in a way, look bad, but actually we're doing the right thing.
Speaking of making you look bad, the mainstream media, I put that in quotes, the liberal media has really hammered you since day one, before day when one. You came, the escalator,
Before
right?
Day one,
for sure. So what about Fox News? What's going on with Fox News exactly? You've been very critical of that.
Yeah, I don't like what they're doing at Fox News.
Why is
that? They have people on that network that are horrible, vicious. You have people that work for Schumer. You have people that are unbelievably against us and viciously, and they spew lies. Commentators, I'm not happy with Fox. I will tell you that right now. People think I should be happy. I'm not happy with Fox at all. All I do is give them good ratings. And frankly, and my supporters feel the same way. You know, there was a study the other day, and believe it or not, in the Washington Post, that I have possibly the strongest base in history, the history of politics. Okay, could be. And my base hates what Fox News is doing. Compare them to the old days with Roger Ailes. Because you have to understand, we're against CNN and we're against MSDNC, which is, right? You know what that is. And they're two horrible networks. And they don't put anything, they put nothing ever positive. Whereas Fox News wants to be politically correct all of a sudden. So Fox News, I'm not happy with them, but that's okay, and they can do whatever they want. I think my people understand it, and I understand it, but Roger Ailes would have never let this happen. We have 100% against, 100%, those two. And our people are the ones that got Fox to be in first place. The only one that doesn't know that is Fox. The Trump supporters do not like Fox. We have great people. Sean Hannity, Laura, Fox and Friends, et cetera, et cetera. But you watch Fox, try watching Fox sometime over the weekend. It's like a complete hit job during the day weekend. It's like a hit job on President Trump. And the problem is you have other networks, the other two are, radical. Now you have other new ones come. Newsmax is doing a great job. OAN has been fantastic. I mean, really fantastic. They've been great. But no, I'm not happy with Fox.
Let me ask you, I don't want to talk about the John Bolton book, but he did say something in that book about the media. He said that something about you saying journalists should be jailed and then executed. I mean, you want to respond to that?
He made it up. Look, he's admitted that he will lie. He's admitted that. There was a report that I saw where he will admit that he will lie in order to get the job done. I gave John Bolton, and he lied, I gave John Bolton a great opportunity. And by the way, many of the things he said, there were many other people in the room. Because it's not like I'm alone with one person.
Right.
I have a big delegation with me, and they've got a big delegation. And Steve Mnuchin came out, and Mike Pompeo came out, and Mick Mulvaney came out. Many people, they all came out, and they said it's a lie. He's a liar. I fired him. I got him out. He was no good. All he wanted to do was bomb people. Now, I don't mind having an opposing point of view, and frankly, I think I used him very well because when people saw him, they know he was sort of crazy, and maybe it helped me negotiate good deals, frankly. But he was terrible. He had no personality. He had no warmth. I don't think I've ever seen this guy smile. Have you ever seen him smile? I said, John, do you ever smile? And he didn't even know how to answer the question. No, John was washed up, and I took him and I gave him something. He couldn't get Senate confirmed because they hated him. They hated him and they thought he was a whack job. I asked him, do me a favor, tell me, are you still happy with the decision? You pushed it so hard to go into Iraq. He said, yes. I said, you're happy. We spent almost $8 trillion in the Middle East because of that decision. You think it was a good decision? Yes. I said, this guy's bad. And then, of course, the Libyan model. You remember the Libyan model. One of the stupidest things ever said on television was said by John Bolton. So he was pretty much gone early on, but we kept him around, and he went out and wrote a book. And by the way, the judge made a tremendous statement. I mean, did you see what the judge said about the release of classified material? I think John Bolton's got a big problem. Plus, he's not going to be able to keep his money. I don't think there's a chance that he's going to be able to keep his money. So we'll see what happens.
I want to turn to evangelicals a little bit. One of the criticisms, and look, you've done a boatload for evangelicals, for sure. And as a matter of fact, you've over-delivered for evangelicals. The question then...
More than any president in history by a factor of 10.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would actually disagree with that. Let me ask you this about the law and order president and balancing that with compassion, because the evangelicals that may want to go away from you, a percentage or two, will say they want to see more balance, especially with everything going on with George Floyd and coronavirus. They want to, so what is it exactly maybe in the future, or what you've done, this administration, from a compassion standpoint, that people should be aware of?
Well, let me tell you have George Floyd, but you also had 14 people killed this weekend in Chicago.
Right.
So you got to balance them out. You got to say, wait a minute, we need law and order. And it's run, all of these problems, Seattle, Portland, Chicago, you could go to Oakland, you could go to Baltimore. What do they have in common? They're run by liberal Democrats, just like Joe Biden. Our nation will go to hell if he gets elected. Your 401ks, which are now setting records, will go down maybe to nothing, maybe to dust, because he's going to raise everybody's taxes. He has no idea what he's doing. Anyway, you know that. He didn't when he was in prime time 20 years ago. You know, he never got more than 1%. I used to call him 1% Joe. And then Obama took him off the trash heap. And it's a fluke. Nobody knows how this happened. He's running against these other people. Whether you like their views or not, they were competent. And he got through that whole mess, right?
Yeah.
And now he's sitting in a basement, and he doesn't want to come out. And this is what we're going to have. If he got elected, China will own the United States.
Do you think you're the underdog in this race?
I don't know. I think we have tremendous support. I really do. I think it's the silent majority. There's a silent majority. Happened last time. Remember, the people came out and everyone said, where did all these people come from? And it really is. It's a group of people that's massive, and they work, and they're smart, and they're brilliant, and they're this and that. Everything is good. And many evangelicals are in that group. You know, I got a tremendous evangelical support. I mean, Christian support was incredible for me.
It was.
It was incredible. And I think it should be better, because before I was talking, even you said, well, are you sure? And I said, I'm sure. But now I've done it. Again, they said I'm the most pro-life president in history by far, more so than Ronald Reagan. And so now I've established my credentials. Before I was just talking. You ought to ask a guy like a Biden, or ask his campaign, give a list of judges. See where they stand on pro-life. See where they stand on it. You will not be able to get that list because they're going to put an absolute radical lefty in there in the Supreme Court.
I want to ask...
And other judges.
Just on the evangelical front, I've asked Sarah Sanders this, Mike Pompeo, they all give me the same answer. I say, was President Trump put in office for such a time as this? Did God put President Trump in office for such a time as this? I never asked you that question. What do you think?
Well, I don't know what they said specifically.
They said yes.
Okay, because I have had, Ben Carson said the same thing. You know, Ben Carson came to me because he ran a very effective campaign. Yeah. And he did a good job. He really did, you know, he came in one of the top people. And he said to me, you know you're going to win. I said, Ben, I'm running against you. What are you telling me? He said, you're going to win because God put you here for this occasion. I said, what a lovely thing to say. That was the first one that I heard from Ben Carson. And it was during the campaign. I was running against him, and he was saying, I'm going to win. He's a very high-quality guy. He's done a great job in the administration, too.
Do you buy what he was saying?
I almost don't even want to think about it because you know what? All I'm going to do is, I hope it's true. All I'm going to do is I'm going to do my best, and part of what I'm doing my best on is for the religious community, beyond evangelical. Evangelicals are a very big part. It's very important to me. You know, we have great support. I was so honored when Franklin Graham said that his father voted for me, and that was something that Billy Graham has never announced who he was voting for. But Franklin Graham said his father voted for him. He went public with it, as you know. To me, that was a big moment because I have such respect for Franklin and for the family, and Billy Graham is Billy Graham, right? But when he said that his last vote was for me, and his father never announced who he was voting for, would never talk about it. No, I think I have great support. There's a lot of hidden support. People in our country that don't riot, that don't protest, that don't, you know, they work hard. They never had a voice until I came, meaning over the last long period of time. We call them the forgotten men and women. They were the forgotten. They were very successful. They do a great job. They're smart. They have everything, but they were forgotten by the politicians. They showed up in 16. I think they're going to show up in larger numbers in 20.
My last question, because I said I would ask about the deep state, which has been after you for ever, for a long time. On Obama and the spying situation, this idea that they were spying on your campaign, you've been asked before about what crime he would have potentially committed, but I remember you talking to Doug
treason.
Weed. Well,
treason.
That's what I was going to ask you.
It's treason. Look,
it's treason.
Look,
okay. That's
when
what
I came out a long time ago, I said they've been spying on my campaign. I said they've been taping, and that was in quotes, meaning a modern-day version of taping. It's all the same thing, but a modern-day version. But they've been spying on my campaign. I told you that a long time ago. Turned out I was right. Let's see what happens to him now. Durham is, I never met Durham because I want to stay out of it because otherwise it's going to look political. But Durham, as you know, is a highly respected person. And Bill Barr is doing a great job as Attorney General. Let's see what they come up with. But they don't have to tell me. All I have to do is read the papers, the insurance policy. In case she doesn't win, we got an insurance policy. Well, that was all the stuff that we went through over the last, let's say, 2.5 years. Now we caught them. We caught them called Strzok and Page, the two lovers. Brennan and Clapper, the way they lied.
Democrats can't stand Barr.
Comey.
Bill Barr. They just...
They can't stand who?
Bill Barr. They just think he's pulling...
You know why? Because he's doing such a good job. Because he's law and order. But he's got them in his crosshairs. And now we have to see what's going to happen. I will say this, if it were reversed, and if the other side sat, we're at the Oval Office, right in that chair behind the Resolute desk, and it was the opposite, 2 years ago, 25 people would have been convicted, and they would be sent to jail for 50 years. And by the way, if it were 100 years ago or 50 years ago, they would have been executed. But we're in a different time. We're in a different time. You understand what I mean by that? They spied on the opposing party's campaign, and we caught them. And I just hope I get tremendous evangelical Christian support. because, and I'm not saying this as a bragging thing, nobody has done more for religion than I have. Look what I've done in Israel, which is a big thing with the evangelicals.
Tier A.
In many respects, it's more important to the evangelicals than to Jewish people in this country. But look what I've done with the capital of Israel. You know, when you go into Jerusalem, what I've done, every president said they were going to make Jerusalem the capital of Israel. And then when they got into office, they didn't do it. When I say every, many for decades, they've all been they campaigned, and I understand why, because when I got into office, as soon as they thought I was even considering it, I was called by so many world leaders asking me in the strongest of terms not to do it. And they all changed their mind. Not that they changed their mind, they just didn't do it. I did it. Golan Heights, I did. You know, probably the biggest thing I did for Israel was Iran, breaking up that horrible deal made by President Obama, $150 billion, $1.8 billion in cash. So I've done a lot for religion, and I've done a lot for the evangelicals, and I hope we can have your support. And if Biden gets even 1%, it would be terrible. And you can forget about the pro-life movement, because it will be over.
Mr. President, your time is valuable. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you so much.